All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What's going on, everybody? We're back doing another Drafters Draft, joined by Big Marley, as always, and we got a special guest down there. I'm glad I looked at his Twitter because I was going to say two-time best ball champ. I knew the Underdog in 2021, Best Ball Mania, knew the 555, did not know about the 2120 that you took down as well. Three-time best ball champ, Liam Murphy. Before I do throw it to him, though, we are doing a fast draft. I'm in the draft already. Liam's in. Big Marley, if you're not in, join now the fast draft. 4 out of 12 right now. So anyone out there, you guys want to hop in the draft, I know a lot of you guys like to get in. Join right now. It'll be starting sooner rather than later. Liam, though, throwing over to you, man. Appreciate you coming on. One of the sharpest in the industry, talking best ball. How's your day going? What's going on, man?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to draft against the champion. You know, I kind of like Big Marley's nickname here. I want to might throw down a Big Liam. You know, how's that ring? Doesn't have quite the ring. You know, when I sound it out, but I gotta work at it. You know?
Big chest Liam, that could be cool.
Yeah. We'll do a working mix. How are you guys doing? I'm excited to chase this overlay. You know, for those who don't know. Drafters is at 24,000 out of 111,000 entrants. But, last year I think it got to 80% filled. And for anyone confused about what overlay means, it just means, the prize pool is guaranteed, so you're competing against less people to take down first place.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been talking about that a lot on this show. It overlaid last year. Definitely, I'd be shocked if it didn't overlay this year. And if you're out there watching the show, and you don't have an account at Drafters, head over to drafters.com, hop in this live draft if you want. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100%, $20 all the way to $100. So you put in $100, they will match 100%, give you $100. There's a $20 with $300K up top. That's what we're going to be drafting in right now, but there's also a $3 $30K up top as well. Big Marley, what's going on, man? How's your week going? I hope your Colts behind there get Kareem Hunt. That'll help me out a little bit.
Dude, me too. I like that move a lot for Kareem Hunt, for my Kareem Hunt shares. But I'm excited for this draft. Going against two champions, probably not plus EV for me, but I got some practice in today, so I'm ready for this one. I'm ready to go. And if I can win this one, I'll feel really good about myself.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll take any winner in this draft.
So some people will say I'm not even a 3-time champion because that 2120 was a 72-person field. So yeah, I didn't win it, but it was.
I wasn't going to mention that part.
I know some of my friends give me a hard time about that. How have you guys been approaching drafters? Because drafters, is a total points format. So unlike a playoff contest, this is kind of like you just need to zen out who the league winners are. Right. If I go into my history here, I can pull up your winning team from last year. And I mean, you took a 0 at quarterback for how many weeks to end the season?
2 weeks. Well, Zach Wilson got me 1.8 in that rain game on Thursday night. So I guess I can't say that, but I counted it as a 0 from him.
Yeah. I mean, and some people have been rocking solo elite quarterback because of your success. I don't know if that is the takeaway people should have, but I mean, you had league winners such as Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Brian Robinson gave you some weeks, Jerick McKinnon, Deontay Foreman was a big one, and then just absolutely smashed that wide out and had the spike weeks at tight end, of course. So who are some of the league winners? Like, are you guys trying to draft similar, trying to just hit that league winner every single round, reach and get your guy, or are you kind of playing the ADP game? Don't want to be too rigid, because I know there's two kind of trains of thought as far as like approach drafters optimally.
Yeah, I'll go first because Big Marley, I know maybe we differ a little bit. So because I'm still maxing Underdog, I'm still maxing DraftKings. I plan to have 700, 800, something like that. So I'm still looking at like a whole portfolio. If I don't have anyone above 40%, I would definitely be happy. Now, I mean, there is definitely difference. Like of course, but people out there listening, Underdog DraftKings with the playoff weeks 15, 16, 17 correlation. I even more so on DraftKings and Underdog. You look at my team last year, I had Hurts. I had no pass catchers with them. Obviously, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, like they were high picks. You had to use a lot of draft capital, but I don't think correlation means as much on drafters. As far as the portfolio, like I'm still playing the ADP game, going based off of that. Of course, I want correlation. Nice draft starting in 2 minutes, but I'm not going to be reaching 2 rounds for it, or a round and a half, something like that. First pick for Chesley, I'm right there. So I know Big Marley, you can touch on that a little bit though, because like you have a ton of Madison. We've done 4 drafts on here. I think you might have been on Madison on each and every draft. So how are you approaching that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely playing an ADP game as well, but I have my player takes, and I'm just a correlation freak across all sites. I like that we don't have to worry about the playoff weeks here. It's just 17 combined weeks. So I'm more team correlated, but I love locking down my quarterback and running back on the same team, hoping that you can just lock down 80% of the touchdowns on the highest scoring team of the year. But yeah, there's a handful of player takes that I would reach on, but a lot of the time I am just taking what falls to me combined with my ranks.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I approach it too. But, like if someone out there last year was like Josh Jacobs is a league winner and just smashed them, right? Like there are some guys in rounds 5, 6, 7 who I'm now starting to get more league winner vibes from. And we can be wrong. It's okay to be wrong, but I am trying to just kind of like hammer in that combo. I know the year that I won Best Ball Mania, the guy who took down the DraftKings Millie was a big, he had a core group of players, and like every single draft he tried to leave with like Debo, Cup, he just like hit the nuts and, advanced like, I don't know, like something insane, like over half of his teams. And then it worked for him. I wouldn't say that's 100% my skill. Like I am a player takes person, but I wouldn't, I'm not like grinding film and, I don't watch college ball. So I am, just, and like the range of outcomes is wild in a best ball season where a guy could get hurt, what have you. Happy to take some Justin Jefferson for me here. You guys are drafting next to each other in the 10 and 11 hole. Little battle.
We also got our man Hamwich over here in the 12 hole as well. So all 3 of us. I know Beetle Bane's in here. He's in the 6th spot. Who else we got in here? Coolin, I think he filled out. Did he say Richie Small's in the 2 hole? I know he's always in here. Coolin right there in the 7. So anyone out there that I didn't name, if you're in here doing the draft, let us know what position. Trading the metaverse. Chesley, he's talking to you in all the great content. Yeah, you can find Liam. Let them know where you can find your YouTube channel and your content. I'll probably be on the show next week or one of these weeks. Going to try and hop on there, but you do best ball, live drafts, content, all of that. So let the people know where you can find.
Yeah, I think we're going to have you on next week to rip a drafters and really, kind of like interview through the process a little bit. I want to hear about your sweat and when it kind of felt real and like, I'm sure it kind of materialized out of nowhere. And then you're probably in like a tight group of people. And then, the thing about drafters is unlike Underdog is you can kind of know week 10, week 11, it's like, oh shit, like I got a shot at this. And then like people like me, I was like, oh damn, I'm not making up 300 points. My top team, I think was 126th last year. I had a bunch of teams like in that range. So had a shot, but didn't take it down. But yeah, you just follow me on Twitter at ChessLiam. My YouTube is just Liam Murphy. So pretty straightforward there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I won't answer those questions yet. I'll save it for next week. A lot of people here at Draft or at SHIPIT Nation do know, but yeah, I'll save all those answers there. And so how many drafts do you think you're going to be doing total? Obviously you had 3 sites, you're on all of them. If you had to guess how many you're going to get done in 2023?
I think I'm on 4 sites, maybe even 5. I'm on the FFPC streets too. I'm no doubt going to 150 this, I think if people have different goals in best ball where a lot of people are just putting out a couple entries. They just want something to sweat during the NFL season. Maybe they're not as big a DFS person. I think that's totally fine. If that's you, drafting the contest you have the most fun for with the biggest prizes, whatever, just try to get the most teams down if you want to play it like that. But if your goal is to return a positive investment. Obviously, chasing overlay is a huge part of that, where it's just way easier to profit, in a typically top heavy contest like a big field that this is. It's just way easier to not get buried. So your risk of ruin is not that high. Like I didn't win, and I think I lost like, I don't know, a third of my investment. So it's like I still was plenty fine last year. You should be accepting that in these top heavy contests, the years you don't win, you probably are not going to have a positive ROI, just like a lot of the money is in first. But Drafters does a good job of making the payouts flat too, not as top heavy as some of the other large field GPP. So excited.
Yeah, great point there. A couple buddies asked me, like, what are your recommendations? I said I wouldn't draft on, because I knew they weren't going to be doing 300, 500, whatever. I said I wouldn't draft on any other site but Drafters. This overlay, you can't beat it. Underdog's going to fill. DraftKings probably won't fill, but I'm not sure it'll get to the overlay. I mean, it gets close. Like, I think
there's going to be major overlay this year across all the sites, I think, because I kind of think it's just so hard to gauge, right? Money is you only have so much money. You only have so much time, where it's like, it's not like someone who is going to put in, I don't know, $250 to $500 of best ball is all of a sudden going to put in 5,000 for overlay, And then I do think like DraftKings is taking best ball a lot more seriously and maybe trying to make other sites overlay. So I don't know. It's a great time to be a best ball drafter though, where the growth is no question. Like, it's not a bad sign that there's going to be overlay. It's just we're still early, in the best ball streets.
Yeah, and it's growing like crazy now. But yeah, this is my first year on Drafters, and I've been telling my dad and my friends that this is the site they should be drafting on, since they haven't been best ball drafters. They don't have to focus on playoff weeks. That's just more things to worry about while you're drafting. I think this is the one where you could just go chase ADP value. Maybe if you're doing a couple drafts, get the guys on the team you want to root for. But this is the closest to a regular fantasy football draft, where there's just a lot more to think about on Underdogs and DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends what you like. Like, some people like the playoff weeks. Some people like a total points format. And, it's awesome that there's optionality across the industry. Gotta take Hurts. He was on the winner last year. Of course, he'll be on the winner again on my team right here. It's a tough call what to do at this range. Got a lot of questions on a lot of these players. I'm kind of down on Chris Olave from like a total points perspective. So let's just lock up a tight end here and figure it out. How have you guys been approaching the elite quarterbacks? And do you think, because you hit on Hurts last year, but he was a 6th round pick. He wasn't a 2nd, 3rd round pick. So if you guys had to choose, and let's include Lamar in the elite quarterbacks, would you take the field, or would you think that the winner will have one of Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, and Lamar?
I'm taking the elite ones. One of Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar, Allen.
What about you, Marley?
I'll say my portfolio right now would be the field. I'm more so into the top 3. I don't have a lot of Lamar at all, to be honest. But the last, week or two, I've been taking one of the top 3 in the 3rd round if they fall to me, and I just won't let them go past 30. Really, if I'm at 30 or past and they get to me, I just have to take them. Today I did a draft. I took Kelsey in the 1st, Smith in the 2nd, and I was like, okay, hopefully Mahomes or Hurts falls to me at 30 or 31, wherever I was. And neither one of them did, but Allen did. So I was like, I'll take it. I'll take Allen. I'll figure out the rest of this stack later. And it turned out all right. So I don't know. I feel like now I'm switching into the top 3 range.
It's really tough because it's not like there's not quarterbacks to like. Like, when we give the field, we're still giving them Justin Fields. We're still giving them Herbert. We're still giving them Anthony Richardson. Sam Howell could make some noise. Like, there's some guys that, plus that whole like mid-range of dudes like Geno, Rodgers, Cousins, Goff. Like, all these guys are on offenses we think are going to be good. They're just not elite options. So I think I would take the elite guys too. I just like like with me taking Hurts now, literally I could rock one quarterback. We saw it does work if you it just puts pressure on you where you need to hit the league winners. But in a contest where you're trying to finish first, that's okay with me, right? Like I'm going to try to hit those Josh Jacobs, those Breece Halls that you hit in the mid-range last year.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, I'm on the clock right now, but you can touch on it because I haven't heard. Here, I guess I'll make my pick first quick. I'll go Gibbs, already got St. Brown, so that's another Detroit piece. So you mentioned people were doing, because I haven't even heard, I try, and my ears are down a lot more than yours are up. Yours are up a lot more than mine when it comes to what other people are doing and stuff. And they saw my team and the one quarterback, and that's the first time. Like I haven't had no teams like that, and I'm not going to have a team like that. A, because you're taking a 0 automatically with the bye week. Then you have to run as good at, like, they can't get injured any week, or you're pretty much. I did win it with 2 weeks without a quarterback, but however, it's double the field is the size this year. It's 43,000 filled, so it's over double. Who knows what it'll fill? But you know what I'm saying? Like you're competing against a lot more people.
I'm with you where I don't want to do that, but like I was in one room where I did end up going solo Allen because the other drafters just kind of sniped me, and I refused to like reach on my quarterback, and I was like. When it was between Mac Jones and just taking a random dart at a running back, it's like
you said dart.
Give me the dart. Like Mac
enough.
Jones is 15. I think I can make that up.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would always go with the Mac Jones right there. But like you said, it is possible. I mean, it was shown, and you need the stuff. Like look at my team last year. You need McKinnon, Foreman, Josh Jacobs, Jeff. Like, I mean, I ran as good as you could possibly run. But even if you take away 2 of those guys. I probably don't win without a quarterback those last 2 weeks. I mean, there's almost no chance. Like I had the T. Higgins game, every catch he was about to start going up. So the week 17, that Bills game switched a lot of things around, but just, man, automatically taking a 0. I'm good at tight end, like the 13 bye week. If I go like a Dawson Knox, Mark Andrews or something like that, where I've left a couple drafts knowing I'll take a 0 at tight end, which I don't love, but I'm fine doing that. Quarterback's a little harder for me to do though.
Yeah, I think tight end's totally fine, right? Like you're not going to miss those 5 points from whoever you take in the 20th round. But and I don't plan. I will always try to get a second quarterback, especially because there are some guys you can like squint and see the ceiling case for. Sam Howell is a rushing quarterback, right? Like, stacking is something I try to do, but it's not as essential on drafters, right? So like if Tua drops 30 spots in ADP, you can just take a naked Tua. Like I've done that. And you just kind of need the ball to be distributed or a guy to get hurt here or there. I do think if you asked me, like, do I think one of Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, or Jackson does enough to just solo quarterback it? The answer is probably like, yeah. Like, yeah, the floor is so high on these guys. On the field here.
You're on the clock. I'll let Big Marley. So Big Marley, because you have 3 running backs, 1 receiver, a rare start, and JT fell to 39. So I want you to touch a little bit about that because huge talking point is JT right now.
Yeah, I think all the drafts we've done, I've been more of a 0 RB build. So I'm just kind of changing it up. I like to take the fallers when I'm at the end of the first round. And then when my 3rd round hit, I needed a wide receiver, but I was actually going to take Taylor there. And I was like, you know what? Title's behind me. Title's not going to take Taylor. I have a feeling Hamwich isn't going to take Taylor too. So I ended up getting Taylor in round 4. It worked out perfect. I don't know that Judy would have made it back. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. But I don't have a whole lot of 3 running back builds through the first 4 rounds. So I'm kind of nervous how this is going to turn out. But I know it's going to keep me away from my Madison and Walker, who I have a ton of. So this will be just a different build completely for me.
Yeah, right away. We talk about all the time. Like, you're not going to be looking at running back for a while. And you made a good point. You looked ahead at the draft board. You didn't think me or Ham would take Taylor, so you went receiver. He probably wouldn't have fell back to you. And now looking at Liam's team, I mean, same thing. He knows.
We're getting weird on my team here.
He won't be drafting tight end. He won't be drafting quarterback for a while. But talk about what you just did, going double elite tight end.
Yeah, I mean, Hawkinson is just a guy I'm real high on. I personally, like in my rankings, I think I have him ranked at like the 3-4 turn, where I think when you look at all the this wide receiver tier is so flat from like Judy down to, DJ Moore and gang, where I think Hawkinson is drawing live to outscore those guys at tight end. It's a year where, I mean, Kelsey is what, like 34? So not inconceivable that Kelsey goes down kind of early in the season, and now all of a sudden I have the tight end 1 and 2 on the season, and I'm just lapping the field at tight end. One of them's filling in at the slot. I have Justin Jefferson, who, in theory is the 101 of wide receivers, so I'm just counting on him on hitting the lineup every single week. And then majorly reached on JSN at ADP, just kind of hoping that he's one of those league winners. Just, like one of those guys who either comes on down the stretch or hits the field running and is just scorched earth to end the season. And the combo of him with my players is a little bit rarer, where he doesn't really slot in there to ADP. But like, is it going to be surprising if we look back and he outscores Mike Evans and Godwin and Lockett and Ayuk, guys who goes ahead of him? Absolutely not, right?
No, I like it. So are you more inclined to go, or maybe it's the same, but on Underdog and DraftKings, the elite tight end, Andrews Hockenson, are you more inclined to do it here, or do you view it pretty similar?
I don't think we've seen a total points champion punt off tight end fully, right? Like, you had Kittle and Ingram, which are two dudes who are not giving you a consistent floor, but what they did give you is probably 4 to 5 games of hitting 20 to 30, maybe even 40, right? Like, huge ceiling. So yeah. I wouldn't do what I did a lot, where I double tap the elite tight ends. But, like the Ravens are supposed to be super paced up this year. Greg Roman was one of the worst OCs like ever. It's going to be a huge upgrade to the Ravens getting Greg Roman out of there and going to Monken, who a lot of people like. So I'm kind of bullish on the Ravens because of that. Now, he does have a lot more target competition. And again, like, just doing things the field is not doing. So I think the unique combo, it makes it easier for you to win, right? Like, you want to make it as easy as possible for you to win. And so getting unique combos of players where you're not sacrificing too much projection does that, in my mind.
No, very, very sharp. We talk about that on here too. I mean, we talk about it all the time in DFS. If a group of 3 people or some MMA, especially when these guys are going to be played so heavily together or something, the same construction, get different a little bit, something fails, you jump ahead to so many people, and you're playing for first. And everything, DFS, best ball, all that, almost so much of the money is at first. You got to get different. You got to get a little crazy. But there is a drawing line where you get too crazy and you look at teams. It's like, yeah, I saw a team start like 6 running backs in a row. That team's dead. I don't care what people say. I don't care you have the 6 backs running backs. Like, what stinks in drafters is when you have the team like that just screws you, it screws you too, because you're playing in the whole pool. So that part's tough, whereas like you're on Underdog, you're on DraftKings, you're like, all right, well, you're competing against 11 people in my pod now instead of 12. So it's a little better that way, but it's tilting in drafters.
I mean, like, there is something to be said in regular drafts that, like, you can kind of like opposition draft someone and it will help you advance as long as you're not like spiting yourself. But in a contest like drafters, it makes no sense because you need to beat everyone, right? So like, hurting yourself a little bit is very bad. So I'm just going to have to like roll the dice on one of these running backs. It is a tough range. I'm not going to take Madison even with the ADP discount, just with me betting on the Vikings. So we're going to go Addison. We'll bet on the pass game. And then James Cook, just hoping that him and JSN are 2 like league winner archetypes that, again, I'm reaching by ADP pretty significant here. Really like James Cook in best ball land, though, where do not care about his floor, but his ceiling game should be there.
Cook and White are 2 guys I've definitely moved up as of late.
Yes, and since you have Andrews and Hockenson, both week 13 buys, are you worried about that at all? Or would you, with 2 extra rounds on drafters, would you maybe take one in the 19th or 20th round just to fill in that 1 week?
There's like 1 or 2 guys in my mind I would take at tight end if I just think they're going to outscore the wide receivers. But with you having to start 3 wide receivers a week, that like kind of shifts the tie to wide out. And yeah, I'm totally comfortable eating a 0 at tight end week 13, because I could literally lap the field by like 400 points at tight end. With like their Hunter Henry hits the lineup or something.
Yeah, and I'm more of the same, but I was more so sold knowing title 1 without a quarterback for 2 weeks. So I definitely think I'm fine without a tight end for 1.
Yeah, and it's like it's easy to take the wrong takeaway from that, right? Like we should recognize that each fantasy season and best ball season is like wildly different. And like a lot of people who do historical research, they're not fully understanding the context of what happened, right? Like all of the first round running backs last year pretty much failed. That does something pretty significant to, the market, right? Where it's like all of a sudden the power of Josh Jacobs is that much more powerful because of how bad the other guys going in the first and second round were, where it's like, if JT didn't like fall on his face and other guys like that didn't fall on their face, and at least we're keeping pace with the Jacobs, like maybe it wouldn't have been as powerful to hit on a Josh Jacobs.
True. Yeah, and it was like Deontay Foreman, McCaffrey gets traded mid-year. Foreman's one of the last picks, huge spike weeks. Like McKinnon, the dude turns into Barry Sanders the last 7 weeks.
He won Me Too contest. I love the McKinnon show.
Oh, he got his jersey in my room. Yeah, he's right here on my background. Jerick McKinnon right there. He'll always be there.
Hell yeah.
Absolute man. But like little stuff like Evan Ingram's like I think some people might be taking the wrong takeaway where, you don't want to eat too many zeros. You eat a zero at tight end 1 week and those two will make it up and more. Like you'll play them in the flex and all that. But people out there, like I wouldn't be recommending, like I'm not going to leave any draft with, I'm not going to leave any draft with one quarterback. It is possible. You made the case for it. Not that you liked as much, but people are looking at that. I'm not going to leave with 2 quarterbacks in the same bye week. Like that's 25, 30, 35. You could be leaving on the table. And at the end of the day, that does go a long way in total points. Tight end, though, like you're saying, there's weeks, even with Kittle and Ingram, I was looking last week or a couple weeks ago, and I was going back through 4 points, 2 points. Like I think I got a 0 at tight end, like when they were injured in a bye week. So you can easily do that at tight end. Quarterback is a lot harder for me to stomach.
And I would never, like, a lot of people lump going single tight end and single quarterback as like the same bucket. Personally, I think single tight end is like not something I would ever do, because even with Kelsey, it's just such a touchdown dependent position, such a high variance position that like you want that extra dart. The winner of the year before you had Joe Burrow and Cousins. So he did hit on the mid-range guys, but Joe Burrow gave you those huge spikes. And I'd be lying if I remember all the lineup, but it was like, that year he hit on Chase, he hit on Debo, he hit on Kupp, I think, right? So like, and he had Andrews as his tight end, who was like by far, he was the tight end 1. So there are a lot of tight ends every single year we convince ourselves on, but it's just like, if some of these dudes hit 30, 40-point games, it's hard to make up that at your other positions.
Yeah, you're about to come up. I hope you're right on Andrews and Hockenson, though. 2 of my favorites this year, no doubt. But I'm so bullish on Minnesota in the dome. Division's weak. I think Cousins is
awful.
Yeah, it's going to be shootout. I love Jefferson won't be doubled as much if they do. They're going to add. They have so many weapons in the dome. I love dome teams. But yeah, you're about to come up. Big Marley, looking at your squad right now. If you want to click your name, Big Marley, so I can see.
Not loving my team here. I had to go with an unstacked Burrow just because he fell 13 picks, and he's been falling.
Liam was just talking about that.
40s before that. So we're gonna have to figure this out later. But I definitely don't have any teams like this one so far. I have a lot of backstack options later in the draft. So I think I'll probably end up just sticking with Burrow for now and hoping I can get somebody else on the Bengals. I'll even take, one of the crappy running backs late just to have some sort of correlation. But, yeah, you guys were talking about the Vikings. I think Cousins is my highest owned quarterback and Madison's my highest owned running back. And on drafters especially, I love locking the 2 positions in more so than a quarterback wide receiver like I would on Underdog or DraftKings. So anytime I'm getting, a Madison, I'm looking to get Cousins too, but I also have an Addison or a Jefferson or a Hockenson. I like all of them, so I just find myself stacking Cousins in a lot of drafts.
I like it. Liam, talk about your 2 picks. I see you're trying to go the whole team, a different name in Miles Sanders, but you get the running back, Rashad Penny.
Better name.
Hurts.
Rashad, first off, on my channel, we call him Rashad Dollar because the man won me $1 million. So the Rashad Penny and Monroe St. Brown bring back was key to winning $1 million in BBM too. But Penny is like probably actually the best pure runner. I think I would put Chubb after him if healthy. It is hard to know how it's going to sort out between Swift, him, Gainwell, Hurts.
Sounds good for Penny right now.
But yeah,
for Swift, good for Penny is what I've taken out of it.
Yeah, and like ambiguous situations is where we should be targeting. Charbonnet, talented guy. It's the same thesis of Ken Walker from the year before. Ken Walker, last I checked, still is not practicing, so who knows what his groin injury will or won't do. I wanted to say on the topic of Alexander Mattison and Joe Mixon, these are guys who severely have raised in price over time, right? Where there are teams in this contest who have Madison in round 9. There are teams that have Mixon in round 7. So I still think you can take these players, but you should do it tastefully, where I would really want to be taking those guys on teams where I took a falling Taylor or a falling Jacobs. Players that the teams that were drafting these falling Madisons don't have those combos of first, second round players. So anyone who's not been drafting all season just should be aware that some players really jump in price over time. And I do think we should be like personally, I'm okay just like Xing Madison out of my portfolio and being like, all right, if you need him, I was going to lose to those teams that have him in round 10 anyways, but it's a very nuanced discussion. And how do you guys approach it?
I'm really glad you brought that up because the Darrell Henderson is what I think of right away last year. The Cam Akers goes down. Henderson goes from like 14th round or whatever to like 3rd round, 4th round.
Yeah, that was a no for me.
Yeah. So right away you were like, there's no chance because you're not. And I agree with you on that point. This year it's not as like I know like in the big Underdog, the big board prior to the draft when McKinnon wasn't signed, I was getting him in one of the last rounds, like 200 ADP. Now that's a whole different contest. So I think he signed. I don't think he was going that late in those. But like if McKinnon went from 19 or round 18 to round 11, like I'd hit the X right there. Madison has been, what is it? He was in the 90th and now he's up in the 60s. So it's not as crazy, but it's still, I agree everything you said. Go ahead, Marley. You were going to say something, but it's a really good talking point. Darrell Henderson thing always comes to mind when that happened because he jumped so far when Cam Akers went down.
Yeah, I would say for drafters, when I started doing my drafters, there had only been maybe 10,000 entries in so far. So you're not competing with a ton of Madison. It does hurt a little bit, but I think he's such a big ceiling player. If he's going to be the number 1 player on the Vikings, if they're not bringing in one of these other vets and he's going to get 20 touches a game on that offense, I just think that he should be going higher than he is now. I'm not getting him where I have him ranked. I'm just playing the ADP game, getting him when he falls to me. But most of my shares are really on Underdog, where I've been drafting for the last 2-3 months, something like that. I got him early, but I'm still taking him now because a lot of my builds are more of the 0 running back, and he is my first or my second running back on the team, and it fits nicely. And I don't think I'm competing with those teams necessarily that have them in the hundreds because they have to win their bracket too. But then when it gets down to week 17, if I'm lucky enough to be there, maybe my squad is just built better than theirs. So
yeah, there's not as many teams.
Yeah, but it's more so because of the team. I want to be all in on the Vikings, and he happens to be the possible number 1 back on the team. So that's why I'm just heavy on him.
So, I mean, I usually wouldn't grab a second quarterback, but, this is like the Hurts-Fields combo in my mind. So I'm going to be taking the rushing upside with Richardson where, ideally I'm locking in like 500-600 points at quarterback and just being like, good luck, run me down.
I've heard so many takes on the Richardson. Either they're far all in on him or they're far full fade. It feels like there's really no in between on him. You're all in boat on Richardson?
I'll always draft the rookie quarterbacks who run, just like always, and it doesn't work. It didn't work with Lance, it didn't work with Fields, but
when it does, how much will you make? So
exactly. Sure. So I'll always just do it. It's not my second pick is real tough. It's like Damian Harris. I don't even know if he's the 2. He's hurt at practice, but I'm just going to take him and just bet on that offense. I'm real thin at wideout. I got 2 rookies in Jefferson, so I'm just going to need to go a lot of volume there. And hopefully I can just hit on some guys that I'm distancing enough at tight end and quarterback. But Yeah, I think Marley brings up a great point where, I mean, literally there just were not that many teams drafted early. So there are not that many teams that have these Madisons and Mixons. And so it is a nuanced thing. And it's like a player going from around 20 cost to around 17 cost, I don't care about at all. A player going from round 12 to 10, again, I don't care. A guy going from around 10 to around 5, 6, 7, it's like sometimes there's got to be a point where we do start caring.
Yeah. And on Underdog, though, like how many of those teams are not going to be correlated at all because they were pre-schedule release? So I just feel like my focusing on week 17, if I'm just lucky enough to be there, hopefully my Madison stack ends up working out better than your ADP value type deal.
100.
I was going to ask you about that week 17 thing, because that's another thing. I think people value it too much. Then I think people throw it out completely, which I think is also wrong. Like, it goes down the list for me. Like when I start looking at week 17, I mean, roster construction, like I'm not reaching 2 rounds for week 17. Are you kind of in the same boat where it matters to an extent, but you're not going crazy out? Like if I leave a draft, I have Lamar and I have no Miami pieces. Okay. Like I'm fine. Like, yeah, would I want a Miami piece? Sure. But if it didn't work out that way, you know, like there's only so many guys, Waddle, Tyreek, like, yes, Acme and stuff like that. But what are your thoughts on the week 17? Of course, that people out there, it's not on drafters. It means nothing. Week 17 does not mean anything.
Oh, it means something. I mean, imagine not trying to win week 17 and come from behind with a week 17 game stack.
Fair enough. You can talk.
You know, like Titletown sitting nice and pretty, think he's got this lead. And what's this? 400-point performance from a full week 17 game stack. No, but on the week 17, like before it was a really big talking point, it was something I was doing where I won $1 million with my Monroe St. Brown, Rashad Penny mini stack. And I really think those two players combining for 60 points is kind of what like thrust it into the lexicon of everyone. But I do think people have jumped the shark and some people don't approach it correctly where, I mean, you just need to think about how NFL games work, right? Yes. Sometimes you do get shootouts, but oftentimes when a good person, like when a good team plays a bad team, or even when two good teams play together, like the good team dominates possession. Or, if the Bengals play the Chiefs, it's not impossible the Chiefs get an interception and all of a sudden the Chiefs don't get the ball that much and only the Bengals are scoring points, kind of like what happened in the Bengals-Bills playoff game. So there are some, when I have Bills players, I'm not forcing a Patriots bring back. And frankly, I don't want a Patriots bring back because I think that offense could be very bad and the Bills are going to score points anyways. It's a division game, right? Like, of course, they're going to be motivated to score. But there are like that Miami-Baltimore game. Yeah, that's a game I could kind of see being a shootout, just where like, of course, Tyreek can catch an 80-yard bomb and all of a sudden the Ravens will pace up teams back on the field. And that could be a back and forth affair. So some games I will bring back. I'm not someone who's trying to do like a full roster of week 17 bringbacks. I am someone that prefers just like a couple minis here and there when I think it makes sense. And I think more people should try to think through like how could the game flow of a game go and not just like blanket week 17 everything.
No, very good point there. Before I got another question for you. Before though, go collect what's going on, my man. Just dropped in for a like. We appreciate that. Haven't asked yet for getting so much going on with Liam here this draft, but we do appreciate that like button. That subscribe button helps us out a ton at SHIPITNation.com. The question I was going to ask for you. So my last, I took Gallup. I already have Dak. I had CD and Brandon Cooks. So I was debating, like I already have the top 2 weapons, especially on a site like Drafters. I wasn't sure exactly if I wanted to go.
Week 7's a rough week for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I look at that to an extent. Like if I can win without 2 quarterbacks or like without quarterbacks 2 weeks, like you're punting a tight end, a 0, all of that. Yes, it is a little tough, but I'm done drafting week 7 wide receivers. I do know that already. But what is your thought mainly just on would you have Mike Gallup there? You already have the top 2. I have Dak. Obviously, if I didn't have Dak, there's no chance I'd do that. But on a site like this where correlation doesn't mean as much, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to do Gallup. I do think mega stacks, if you want to call it that, can definitely work where it's like 1 week it's Cooks, 1 week it's Gallup. I personally am just like high on Gallup too, where
Yeah,
I mean, the
me
dude
too.
came off an ACL injury. So for sure can.
You're on the clock. I asked you at the wrong time. Coolant said this is for Liam. Who did he take? Oh, he took
Okay.
rookie tight
Oh,
end.
he took who did he take? Kincaid?
Kincaid, yeah.
I'm a big Kincaid guy. That's why I said
He
that.
must have, yeah. So, I mean, so I was getting way more knocks at the ADP. The ADP starting to came down a little bit, but 178, like he was like 188 for a little while. I mean, the round
I
difference.
still like Knox. I still think
Yeah.
Knox is a good pick, but I just think like a Kincaid smash is like, I mean, he literally could become the second target in Buffalo, right?
Yeah. He's athletic. He runs routes way back. Yeah, I get it for sure.
Hopefully not the second due to my Gabe Davis shares, but yeah, I get what you're saying. What do you think about getting Kincaid and Knox on the same team?
Totally fine with that.
And Underdog or something else.
I think, yeah, I mean, Knox is too cheap, right? Like he's going to probably outscore a bunch of tight ends that go ahead of him. Totally cool with pairing Knox and Kincaid, especially when you have Allen, because, you know, like a Knox smash is different than a Kincaid smash. Like a Knox smash is like he goes out, he chip blocks, he catches a screen, you know, he gets 20 yards, he gets 2 goal line looks, and he converts both, right? Great game. A Kincaid smash is if he can be the target that Buffalo and, you know, people think he could be like 8 targets, 8, you know, like a legit wide receiver weapon. So I like them both. And I definitely think it makes sense if you're like in on Kincaid to get Knox too, where you're just kind of like hedging your bets a little bit on a position you want to target.
Yeah,
and I'm a Gabe Davis guy. I'd 60% Gabe Davis and BBM too. So we stand with Gabe Davis for it forever.
60%. So how high are you willing to go on a player on like a BBM for this year?
I'll go 100% if I think a player is mispriced. I am not I'm a big believer that you cannot diversify yourself to $1 million, right? Like in these really top heavy things, you know, in the 555 draft streets, in these like high stake streets. Yeah. Okay. I want to be a little bit more diversified, but when I'm trying to chase top heavy prizes in large field GPPs, I'm totally okay locking and I just don't respect the fantasy market that much it's very fear based. The ADPs change wildly. One analyst tweets something. So I think it's directionally accurate for a lot of things. Like it's obviously good at ranking some positions very good, but yeah, I just think some players are mispriced and I will attack that if I believe that.
No, I like that answer. Like I'm not trying to like I have 34% of a guy and he's sitting right there and I love him. Like I'm not going to pick this guy because of it. If I'm in a coin flip, there's no week 17 correlation. They're both one-offs. Bye weeks don't matter. I have 34% of one guy, 8% of another guy, and I have them ranked pretty close. That's when I usually do that. But I totally agree with you. I mean, you can build – it's all about your team. You can build plus EV teams with 100% of a guy, and if he smashes, you have all the chance to win the money. If he gets hurt week 2, well, just know you're going to have more than likely no sweat, depending on when you draft him, of course. You're going to have no sweat the rest of the year. It's all risk preference in that too. So
yeah, it's a variance question. It's a risk tolerance, right? Like I'm okay if a player blows an ACL week 2, good game, right? Like I'm a firm believer you're not going to win every year, right? But I'm trying to make it easiest on myself to win. So if I truly believe a player has a ceiling that the market's not baking in, lock button, let's go. And yeah, there is nuance, right? It's like I'm not going to if I like 2 players equally, and then obviously like the cheaper a player gets, the easier it is to have a big bag of them. But you got to ask yourself, like, who else in this round could bury me? Like, right? Where it's like, in the first round, obviously I'm not trying to lock button anyone.
Do you fade anyone on that topic? Like last year, I faded JT 100% because he was the number 1 pick. It was so easy. And I saw multiple guys after McCaffrey. I liked McCaffrey even more in a vacuum than Jefferson. There were so many guys there. But this year, like I love Jeff. I think Jefferson is 1. I'm taking him every time. Like I like Chase at 2. So the fades are a little tougher for me. Like I don't have much Bijan, stuff like that. But I have no hard fades this year in round 1. JT was mine last year, but again, it was easier at 1-1. What's your approach there?
I'm a big fader. Yeah, I think fading is easier, right? It's easier to fade someone because players can get hurt. It's you kind of just can think through the players that are
I asked you at the
overpriced.
worst time. You're on the clock, so you can focus on.
Sometimes you get lucky too with the fade, where it's like the year I won Best Ball Mania 2. That was a year that Zeke, Kamara, and Derrick Henry were like 2, 3, and 4. And I just full faded all three. I just thought all three were like coming up to the age cliff. It was good process, I think, to fade Zeke and Kamara. And then I think I got lucky with Henry, right? Where it's like, it was, no, Henry was smashing that year, but he got hurt. And so it's like, but that kind of was the thesis, is that like the touches have added up. He's not worth
People
the
been saying that for, exactly.
So it like sometimes you get lucky on your fades. Sometimes it's good process that pays off. But yeah, I'm a big fader. Of just like either certain offenses or certain players, or, no, I don't want a big bag on Kelsey. Like, I want to be off a year earlier than a year later, where it's like, I mean, the dude is literally 34. Like, I understand he smashed last year. I'm with you. He's not a full fade for me. I think the market's gotten a lot better, where it's like, of the big five, I don't want to fade any of them. And I'll throw a cup for me is in the big five. Like, I want the case is similar for all those guys, but there are certain pockets where it's like, all right, if this guy beats me, he beats me. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. There's no doubt about that. Big Marley, what's your approach on that? Do you have any hard fades round one? It can be in any rounds, though. Certain guys that you just aren't touching.
No, not round one, but there's a lot of guys that I have like 1% or less of, to be honest. What do I do here?
You're on the clock too.
And I don't even like some people get so bogged down with the minutia and so granular with it. Like, I'll look at my percentages and sometimes I'll be like, oh, okay. Like, I thought I was drafting more of this guy, but I'm like, this is like every other month. I might like check I'm not like grinding every day and being like, oh no, I only have 8% and I need 12%, right? Like, in general, I'm not trying to draft scared. And I think some people are a little too like scared when they draft.
Yeah, and I would say like I have a lot of fades, but a lot of the times those are the guys who are falling in drafts. And if they fall 20 picks, then I'm like, okay, I'll take this guy. Like I got Gibson. I don't have a lot of Gibson at all, but he fell 15 picks or something to me. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'll take Gibson here. So I would say there's very few people that I have zero of, because a lot of the time they are just falling to me and I have so many drafts done. But there's a lot of teams and players that I do try to get away from. And if they fall a full round, I'll still not be clicking them. So a lot of times it might take 2 rounds, like a Thielen. I know we've talked about on this show before. He'll fall 20, 30 picks, and I'm fine getting him if that's the case. But I'm never taking him like at ADP.
Yeah, that's a great way to approach it. I mean, and that's usually how I approach it. But like some years, I look back and it's like, oh, I faded this guy for a reason, and then he fell 20 picks, and so I was like, okay, like I have to scoop the ADP, and it was like, no, like you wanted to fade this guy, he was a fade, right? Like he was just way overpriced. But I mean, it's a hard game, right? Like it's so hard to have clear takeaways from best ball just because it is so much chaos, and like the data, it's like one different guy gets injured here or there, and way different teams are smashing, right? Like Josh Jacobs rolls his ankle week 2, you probably don't take down first, right? Like, or, even
if McCaffrey didn't get traded, who knows if that team, I mean, because I lost Breece Hall, and like, that's the nice thing about this. Like, he was my first running back taken, and I used him. I mean, he had a couple spike weeks, so he mattered, but to an extent, like, you can avoid landmines, especially on drafters. Like you don't have a quarterback in week 16 on Underdog, you have 0 chance to win. You're not advancing out of your pod. So there's more leeway on a site like drafters. But like you said, like I think people might be looking into like the sample's still small enough. And like you're saying, I don't think people are thinking big picture. One little thing changes, the whole teams are going to look different. So it's important to look at recent trends, history, and all that. But with only a couple of years of best ball data and how how many people are in these tournaments. Like I said, 43,000 last year. I mean, maybe it gets up to 100,000. I doubt it, but let's say 80,000, pretty much double last year. you're not gonna be able to make as many mistakes, I don't think, or have as many zeros or 4 weeks or stuff like that. But to look at your team right now, so you said it earlier, you were talking, got to go receivers and load up on them, and you sure have in the last lot of picks.
Yeah, I got to get some running backs too. It's kind of like it's hard for me because it's like, okay, so how does this team win? So Jefferson's in there every single week, and then one of Smith or Addison is, and so maybe I just like pack my bags and hope the other 5 hit there. But I took 2 Buffalo running backs, and again, I'm not even convinced Damian Harris is the 2 there. Like, Latavius Murray's been getting some buzz. Apparently, he ran like a 70-yard touchdown today. I don't know how this dude is.
Yeah, I haven't heard that name in a minute.
I know, and apparently he's like unstoppable in goal line. So, I mean, I don't think the Damian Harris injury is a big deal. He just kind of like, he'll be back soon. He is only 26 and not 34 or whatever it is. But there is that buzz. So, I definitely need some more in the running back department, especially with not having like a bell cow on my team. I have like Cook, who should have some spikes, Penny, who should have some spikes, but it's like a little bit leverage off of the Hurts, where it's hard, could be, because it's not that hard for them to spike together. We saw that with Sanders a bunch. I need Charbonnet to come on. I need Warren to hit the lineup a lot. And I might just, I don't know. It's hard between like how many bullets I should throw at running back versus wide receiver to end for my team. How are you guys feeling about yours?
Yeah, I'm liking it right now. I mean, like week 7 at receiver, staring at it's tough. Other than that, though, I like my squad. So would you even? Is there no chance you would even do that? Like the Gallup pick right there. Like I was like, yeah, I prioritize another Dallas piece with my stack. Week 17 is gonna suck, but it's fine. Would you have been like, yeah, that's my cutoff, 4 of those guys in a row. I'm not taking a 5th one by week 7.
I think I would. It just kind of forces you to go thinner at maybe like running back.
Yeah, 100%. It makes, like when I took Johnson right there, I'm like, I very well might leave with just 5 running backs, and it's not great.
I don't think it's not a big deal, right?
Gibbs, Walker, Dillon.
If you had known looking at ADPs, like, oh, Cooks is a target of mine and Gallup's a target of mine, maybe you try not to take Hopkins just to have. But like
part of the reason too late. But now I got Tannehill, so I got my Treylon Burks, my Okonkwo, so it's all But the bye week 7, there's no doubt about that.
But I mean, you got a Monra who you should just like every single week, super high floor and ceiling combo, so you feel good about him being in there every week. Now
outside of that, it's gonna be rough.
You're gonna need one of Shakir or Claypool. I mean, Claypool pulled a hamstring today.
I saw that. I still took him, hoping he's fine. But
was having a good buzz. Shakir's tough, man. Where it's like the market has decided he's the third wide receiver, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. Where I don't know who it is. I'm like literally like writing in a lot
of 2 tight end sets and stuff. But
it's like Kincaid's probably going to be it. But then it's also Deontay Hardy and Sherfield, and like every other report I read of Shakir is him dropping a pass at practice. And on the other hand, he did score 2 touchdowns in the scrimmage and red zone work. So like. And I thought he looked good last year when he played.
I agree.
But the coaching staff chose to sign Cole Beasley and John Brown to play over him in the playoffs. So it's like maybe something's happened with Shakir that we are not hip to. So I really don't know who the slot is. And like I'm a Bills fan. So like I follow that team, but I don't know if it's Shakir or if it's Hardy or if it's Sherfield. And then again, it's like maybe they all get dusted and it's just Kincaid getting most.
I love my boy Kumaro, Whitewater guy. Went to college right by me. Packers had him, got rid of him.
Where is he now?
I don't know. I don't think
he's not on the Bills anymore.
He's not on any squad, I don't think. But love my boy Kumaro.
So do you have I'll let you pick first. But I got a question for Liam.
Yeah, definitely let him pick. I mean, it's gross down here for sure.
We're just throwing darts here. We're getting stacked up with Richardson, and then I think Kyron has the lead as the RB2. I think Zach Evans maybe has a bigger ceiling case where it's like if Cam Akers goes down, Zach Evans is probably more the traditional runner. Like Kyron's just so slow, but I think Kyron kind of has the lead on that like James White type third down back. And I like the Cam Akers 1 week is like loved and the next week is like in the doghouse. It's just like nothing's new with that guy.
Don't get hurt on kickoff week 1, Kyron.
Yeah. So since you had the 1 pick, I've also heard you say in a podcast before that you're a Chase over Jefferson guy and you'll take him at 1-2. Do you have a preference of where you draft? Let's say you're doing one $50,000 best ball draft and you get to pick your position. Where would you want to be?
Well, I mean, first on the Chase versus Jefferson, Chase is my 101, but with the Burrow calf injury and like rumors he might not play until week 5, it's just no brainer to move ahead Jefferson ahead of him. If I had one high stakes draft, it's either probably one of the top 5 spots or maybe the 12 hole. Like I kind of like the 12 hole. Now in the middle round, like I truly don't think there's a bad draft slot personally. And like every single year people think the 1 hole is the best pick. And like all of the tournament winners have emerged from like 12, 8, 11, so it's like, we don't fucking know. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I'd be cool with the 101. I'd be cool with the 102, 103. I don't mind the 12, right? Like, especially when you get like Amon-Ra there. What about you guys?
I've been getting so much 1 lately and I'm just falling into the same freaking people. Like, do I want Hurts or Allen? Do I want Mark Andrews? Otherwise it's like Ridley, Debo. Like I can only differentiate so much and it feels like I'm getting so much of that. I think Amon-Ra, I love Amon-Ra. Dude's such a stud. And you can get either CD, sometimes AJ Brown there. I like the back half. I don't mind them. Like I said, all these picks, like the worst, my least favorite is probably like 9 when you miss out on the Ecklers, the Kelseys, all that. And then you're like Bijan right there. And if you go Bijan or CD Lamb, like you can get guys right in the second, like late second right there. So probably my least favorite's right there.
You can get screwed on quarterback too on some of these later pick spots where like I did a draft last night, a high stakes one where I was like the 9 or 10 and just like I was getting sniped on the inside turn on quarterbacks and before me. And like I just tried to and I ended up just having to go like 5 quarterback with like Jordan Love, Tannehill, and Will Levis, but I'm not convinced Tannehill's playing the whole season. Jimmy G, and it's just like hopefully I have enough points. It was a playoff format, not a total points, but it was just like, and I think people were like actively trying to bury me at quarterback, right? Like there's a very small group of people drafting like in these things, and they know I won last year, and I'm not afraid to say that, which I'm sure ruffles some feathers.
That's light. I mean, it's true. I can only imagine. It's because I've looked in the 5-8. Like I join a slow draft, I see who's in it. I'm like 2 out of 12. I'll wait or something. But it's the same people grinding it every time you really click on it, and it makes sense. Like to block someone out. You talked a little bit earlier, like on the DraftKings Underdog when it is pods, and like you're like only 1 or 2 out of 12 or something's drafting instead of drafters, where all of us 12 are now in the whole pool of whoever fills. It makes sense trying to bury a team like that. Like if it doesn't kill your team, it's not something I go out of my way by any means. It's not something I really do at all because I have slow drafts. I'm not looking around at other teams and all that. But you did mention it earlier where it's not the craziest thing. But Liam,
I don't do it too much, especially because it's like when you're drafting with the same people. If like I actively do that to someone, I would think they would do it to me too. And I do take note of those who do it to me. Right. And like, there's like 1 or 2 dudes who are actively like taking Brock Purdy when they don't have any 49er and I have like 2 Niners. It's like, all right, I see you. But I think there's a big difference between trying to spite another team that helps you versus spite another team that also hurts you, which makes no fucking sense. For sure. Right.
Like, for sure. Like I said, I do almost all slow drafts, so I'm not even looking at what other teams do. I could care less, but it did make a little what you're saying sense there. So, all right, Marley, you start. You can talk about your team. Liam will talk about his. I'll talk about mine, and then drop in chat. I know Beetlebane's in here, cool-in. If anyone else is in the draft that wants us to touch on their team, we will do that before we get on out of here. So go ahead, Marley.
Just, I think, my least favorite team I've done so far.
Great start.
I started with 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds. I don't think I have any Bijan and Chubb together, so it's unique at least. But then I had to take the falling ADP for Taylor, and hopefully I'm just good with those 3 running backs. But then I had the ADP value a little bit there with Gibson when nobody else was in my range. I was just getting buried at wide receiver in this draft. So that's why I don't like it, and I just would rather take shots on these later running backs, which is why I go more 0 RB. So it's just not the build that I like. I had to take Burrow at 63rd, although I don't like hearing that he could be out for 5 weeks. That hurts a little bit, but at the same time, I didn't want him to fall to Chase and Higgins at round 7. That would help them out quite a bit. So I figured I would stack later in the draft. I did end up getting Irv Smith and Tyler Boyd, which I had to reach big time for Tyler Boyd since wide receiver was getting away from me so much. And then I went and stacked Wilson with Judy, had some ADP value there. And that's just kind of what I was going for. When I didn't really like my team, I was just like, let's see what ADP value falls to me. I'll take what I can get. Hopefully I get lucky in some spots. But I just really am not loving this build at all. I don't feel good about my wide receivers, but I stacked Godwin with Mayfield late in the draft. I'm always trying to get at least one stack spot with every one of my quarterbacks, but I think Chess Liam has 2 of the best 3 to not stack. If you're going after a Hurts or a Richardson or a Fields, I'm fine not stacking those guys. And I also have a lot of Lance lineups where I'm getting him in one of the last rounds and I have him unstacked. So I'm fine with the rushers, but I would not want one of my my quarterbacks unstacked here. So I had to throw somebody in. Man, I don't feel good about any of these positions. What do you think? I think it's a terrible team. Liam?
I don't think I would have taken CEH. I'm probably packing. Like, I might have even stopped at Gibson at running back and just like, okay, if Taylor doesn't play, you lose, whatever. Like, you just, and then just add the extra darts at wide receiver. But like, it's not impossible. Michael Thomas has a resurgence, is like a 20-point per game guy. Like, you kind of need that. You need Judy and Godwin to give you that consistency. And then the rest of the gang can definitely all hit. I don't mind reaching on Boyd at all.
I would have done that for sure. Without anyone with Burrow, I 100% would have I wouldn't even. I like Tyler. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily call this reach as much, but I totally would have done that too.
Yeah. Also, just like the uniqueness, like it's like reaching for a stack. Like, yeah, of course, you'd rather get it 10 picks past ADP, but you're differentiating yourselves from most of the Boyd drafters, especially because most of them probably don't have Burrow at pick 63. Mayfield's tough because I truly don't know who's going to, like, I took Kyle Trask in a draft yesterday. I don't know who it's going to be. Are you guys confident it's Mayfield?
No, I'm confident. I actually wanted to take Ritter right there, and someone took him right before me. And that was right after you said Burrow could miss 5 weeks. So that's
what Jamar Chase said in like a podcast. I think he said
he was hoping. He's telling them, he's like, don't come back. Like, we're fine without you. We don't want you to get injured. So who knows how much say Chase does have? But if it's anywhere where Burrow's not 100%, like, why bring him back?
First 5 games, they got Browns, Ravens, Rams, Titans, Cardinals. So 3 awful teams in the Rams, Titans, and Cardinals. Divisional game in the Browns. Like, I don't know how, like, the Browns are either really good or eh.
And you said that was early though, so maybe the late one. Yeah, if he does sit out, it would probably not be until he'd sit out the first couple. Yeah, interesting. Let's check out Chess Liam's team. Talk about it, Liam.
I think it's got a shot. It Hurts and Richardson just going to go scorched earth at quarterback. Need like Richardson and Hurts just giving me a bunch of 30 to 40 point games. Lapping the field at tight end as well, where Andrews and Hawkinson could both be tight end 1 and 2. It probably needs a Kelsey injury, but not out of the realm. Running back, I feel good enough at where Cook should have some games. Rashad Penny should have some big games. Charbonnet, between him and Walker, I like both of them. But, I don't think Walker is practicing yet. I'll need to check on that. Don't necessarily love grabbing Damian Harris when I have Cook as well. But Damian should have some games on the ground, some revenge games against the Patriots, of course. Really like Jaylen Warren, especially past ADP. I kind of like betting against Najee. He's explosive. He catches passes. They improve their O-line. I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to be able to throw the ball necessarily, so they're going to need some screens to warn and whatnot. Kyron Williams, hopefully giving me some pass catching, filling in the lineup there. And then Evan Hull, a total jar at running back where, I mean, kind of just like the market cannot both have JT fall and not draft a backup. I think Kareem Hunt is just cooked. So even if Kareem Hunt goes there, I mean, I could be wrong, right? It's like, it's hard to know when a guy's like playing injured. Like maybe that was the case, like pushing through versus like he's lost a step. And Evan Hull, athletic freak. I don't think Zach Moss is that good. Deion Jackson was okay, but I don't know. Just kind of like betting on that Richardson Hull connection, a little stack there. Wide receiver is the hardest case for me, where it's like really need Jefferson to be the 101 of wide receivers, and needs JSN and Addison to both have plenty of spike weeks, and then really need to cobble together some big weeks from MBS, Mingo, Reed, Renfro, Slayton, and Downs, which I think they all could. It's just, it's like I need MBS to have a couple 2 touchdown games. Like maybe like the thing about the NFL is like the meta changes so often, and people like maybe the team stopped playing the Chiefs in so much cover 2, and they're like, you know what? We're going to just bracket Kelsey and go ahead, make MVS catch the ball, right? And like maybe he does. And then Mingo, second round rookie, he could definitely break out. Reed, I like betting against Romeo Dobbs. I just don't think he's that good. He's got second round draft capital. I do think Jordan Love could surprise people. Renfro, maybe traded to a better situation, and or like, I mean, he's like only a year or 2 removed from really piling it on. And then Darius Slayton, just a starting wide receiver, way too cheap. I think he'll have spike weeks. Really like him. And then Josh Downs, the slot to pair with Richardson. Maybe Richardson is a little bit better passer than people think.
Yeah, no, it's like you're going to need Jeff outside of the receiver. Like you mentioned the Harris James Cook thing. I like it because when James Cook was your first guy, pretty much you're saying I'm using one of Cook, Harris, one Buffalo running back almost every single week, and mixing in a great offense. And again, you're hoping Harris is running back too, but if not, the team already takes a huge fall and it's going to be hard to compete as much. You still have outs, but no, I like your team for sure. My team, yeah, it's different than most of my teams. It's the week 7 wide receiver bye week really threw me for a loop. Yes, for sure. But no, so I got Dak with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, correlated right there, top 3 receivers. If you even want to go week 17, which means nothing here, you get your Gibbs, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, but means nothing again on this site.
It does. The come from behind victory means a lot. I'm telling you.
I'm hoping just to be first. I don't need to come from behind, but no, all jokes aside. Purdy, George Kittle, Elijah Mitchell. So I got some San Fran right there. And then Tannehill, I got late because I didn't feel comfortable. Only 2 quarterbacks with Dak and Purdy. So had Traylon Burks, had DeAndre Hopkins, and have Okonkwo. So I'm definitely correlated. I'm more correlated than usual, but it worked out that way. Running backs, yeah, I wanted 6. And so, I wish it was a 3, 6, 9, 2. But because of my bye weeks at 7, I felt the need to just take flyers and all these guys late. I don't want to take a 0, especially 2 zeros in week 7 at a wide receiver position with so many spike weeks. So I can make a case. Gibbs, Walker, Dylan Mitchell, like all 4
1-0 wouldn't be a big deal, right? It's like kind of like tight end, like where it's like, okay, you're giving up 8 to 10 points maybe on some teams. Like you can come from behind from that, but you really need
2 zeros
guys to show out the other weeks.
For sure. And yeah, I wasn't even comfortable. I'm planning to use Amon-Ra the whole time. But even if I cut off Marvin Jones and I just went Shakir, Claypool, Gage, I mean, those guys could easily get me 0 in week 7, all of them. So that's why I took the extra one there. But I totally agree with you. Running backs, like I said, I wish I had 6, but Gibbs, Walker, Dylan Mitchell, 2 of those 4. Who knows what's going on in Chicago? I'll take the ADP discount. Whoever, if it is Foreman, if it is Herbert, whoever it is, probably in a pretty good situation, but who knows? Love my receivers, the week 7 bye week, of course, but absolutely loaded there. And then, only 2 tight ends. There was no way I could go anyone else. George Kittle, the hero, and then Okonkwo. I'm good with my team, and it looks a lot different than my other teams, especially at quarterback. I've been going a lot of hero quarterback, elite quarterback. It's nice to mix it up a little bit, but I'm fine with my squad. For you guys, any thoughts?
Now I was looking for Gage after I took Mayfield. I was like, "Where's Gage?" And I didn't see you take him there, but yeah, there was. I was going to take Kittle wherever you took him. I think you stole him one pick before me. But yeah, what do you think about the Chicago running backs, Liam? Do you have a preference? Or are you just taking ADP value when they fall to you? Or are you just avoiding them completely?
I originally was just avoiding and waiting for clarity. Recently, I've just been kind of trying to get each a little bit after ADP because they all seem to fall sometimes. Like sometimes you'll find someone who like really wants Herbert or Foreman or Roshan, but I mix them. There's some people even think that, I don't know, like Roshan could be inactive for Travis Homer, who plays special teams. I don't really think that way. I think Roshan's the best third down back. It's hard because like Herbert's such a good runner and so is Foreman. But then again, Fields is going to be grabbing work. So I think it's okay if people wanted to fade it. I've been sprinkling in all three though.
Yeah, I'm more on the fading all three train, but it's the same thing with Miami. I'm kind of fading the three Miami guys, but they all seem to fall. So I will take the one that almost falls the most, whoever that happens to be. I just mix them in, but I'd say I'm under 5% on all, 6 of those guys.
Yeah, it's messy. So let's touch on Big Marley. You'll go Richie Small's team. Liam, you can talk on Beetlebane after. I'll talk on Coolin. Then we got Hamwich left after. So touch on these. We can do a little quicker for these. But Richie Smalls, he said he auto-drafted. Tough to draft while trying to work. Couple auto picks, but I'll deal. So keep that in mind.
All right, let's see. We got a 3-7-8-2 build. I stole Burrow from him. I'm sure he was hoping to get him at some point. But, man, with having Chase and Higgins on your team, I feel like you got to go Burrow, around 5 or something there. But he went Watson, Love, and Mac Jones at quarterback. I like going 3 because I wouldn't feel good enough about Watson and Love by themselves. Just throw in whoever else it might be. I'm cool with that. We went 7 running backs. I typically – I'd say I like to stop at 6. Depends on how my build's going. But 7's a lot, and I feel like you got enough value here in the top 4 or 5 guys that I don't know that I would have gone with a Prince or even Fournette there. But I do have a good amount of all these guys, so I think you're fine at running back in general. Chase, Higgins, you're great there. You just don't have the Burrow piece, unfortunately. Olave, you got 6 picks past ADP. Liam said he's down on him, but I have a good amount of Olave. I have a lot of Saints in general. I just think that the unknowns with that team, maybe it ends up being a good thing. But I like Olave. I like your wide receivers a lot. We got Johnson, double Johnson, Deontay, and Quentin Johnson. We got Jameson Williams, who you don't even really need his suspended weeks because you have all these other guys. Samuel and Thornton at wide receiver. I think you're great there. And then Everett and Johnson. I probably would have wanted a third tight end. Maybe get rid of Prince and throw in a third tight end with Everett and Johnson. But I do like those too, especially when you're getting some ADP value. But that would be the only change I would make is just get rid of Prince and throw in somebody down here at tight end.
Yeah, I think you're too weak at tight end.
Double down, triple down on that. Other than that, though, I like it. But yeah, that tight end, it's going to be.
I mean, they could run touchdown. It's just like I don't even like. The Saints have brought in like 7 tight ends, so
who knows?
I don't even know how to play their tight end room anymore.
True.
Yeah. So Liam, you touched Beetlebane right there in the 6th spot.
I like Beatles.
All right, he's got a 2.693. Mahomes and Smith, near to my heart. Those were my quarterbacks when I won the 5.55. James Conner, Montgomery, Singletary, Mostert, Edwards, and Chase Brown. I think that's a fine group of 6. I would consider a 7th. We really are gambling on like the Mostert, Brown, Edwards guys. Edwards is probably safe, but I think that there's upside in all 3 of those there too. Metcalf, Watson, Lockett, Pickens, OBJ, Rashee Rice, Richie James, Allen Robinson, Puka Nacua seems fine at wide receiver. And then Kelsey Higbee likely. I'm probably making the likely pick either another running back or another wide receiver. I just don't see the ceiling for Allen Robinson. Puka Nacua could be the 2 or 3. It's not like Van Jefferson stiff competition. So, yeah, I think I'd probably make the likely pick a running back myself. But I get that you had 2 week 10 buys. And, there are cases where, like, Kelsey gets hurt week 15, and so does Andrews, and you need those likely points.
Yeah, I would have went likely to a running back. Other than that, though, I like the squad.
Yeah, I don't know that I have any 3 tight end builds when I go Kelsey in round 1.
Yeah, I am none for sure. Like if Kelsey gets hurt, you're already drawn dead. Of course, yeah, week 15, something like that. But I would want one other running back. Not a bad squad though, one bit.
Yeah.
I'll touch on Coolin's team, 2693. Lamar, he has Bateman in there. I think he came back today, I saw. So yep, you get Lamar, Bateman. That's all you really need. You got Garrett Wilson with Rodgers. Love that. Only need 2 quarterbacks. Eckler, Breece Hall, Devon, Tajee, Devontae Foreman, Malik Davis. Yeah, I think six running backs are fine there. Your receivers, 693. Yeah, I mean, everything. Look, I mean, Dortch, who knows what's going on? I think I saw your tweet today. What if Rondale Moore gets traded? Dortch was a complete stud, DFS printer. So who knows with that? I don't mind that pick. That offense is going to be so bad. You got to think they'll be selling at the deadline. Quez, it's good offense, probably needs some injuries. But even with that, you're good at receiver for sure. And I would have went 3 tight ends probably. Njoku, Kincaid. Yeah, like I probably would have went a third too. Musgrove, you get a starting tight end right there. So I like that team. Coolin, 2-9 or 2-6-9-3. Looks good to me.
Yeah, it's for you to win, you really need to cobble together the weeks at wide receiver. It's hard to know with Pittman as your wide receiver 3, if you will. We got to assume that Richardson's probably not going to be throwing for like 300 a game, probably more deep shots and whatnot. So it's really like, what can Dotson give you? What can Bateman give you? What can Mims give you? So you got the Pierce pick too, which I like. You just kind of really need to get like Garrett Wilson every single week, Ayuk every week, which he kind of is more of like a spike week here or there guy. So I maybe make that last running back pick another wide receiver, or maybe one of the tight ends, like and just make it thin there. But it could totally work out, especially if like Mims is a star and Bateman's a star.
My Big Marley, you touch on Hamwich's team, and then Miles. He didn't want anyone to know we were drafting with him, but Miles is in here. He's in. I'll let Liam touch on his team. It's a 4 tight end build, 147 teams. Miles has done 4 tight ends, so I'm very interested. I'll have Liam talk about that. But touch on Ham's team, Marley.
Herbert and Tua. Oh, sorry.
We got a real zero RB team here. We got Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones, so you're good at 2 quarterbacks there for sure. I even think Daniel Jones is one that you don't have to stack because he has the upside with his legs. But there are just so many weapons on the team that you could find one late. I always end up stacking there. He did stack Lawrence with Tank Bigsby late. He also got Christian Kirk. I like that stack a lot. Plus, he has Ingram. That's solid. He also has Waller at tight end to go along with Jones. He threw in Isaiah Hodgins and Campbell at wide receiver for that stack. I like it a lot. This is more my type of build where you're getting these running backs late. If somebody goes down, these late running backs have huge upside where it's just not the same thing. If a wide receiver 1 goes down, I don't know that the wide receiver 4 ends up being a big deal. So I like this build a lot. We got Herbert. We talked about the whole ADP value. I wouldn't want to reach 9 spots for him, but if he's my first running back, I'm fine with it. Just get somebody in there you feel good about. Tank Bigsby had a lot of good reports in camp. Gainwell, one of my higher-owned running backs. I just love how you can get him late. Maybe he turns into a number 1 guy. I hear he's doing the 2-minute drill, so that's a good thing for him. Zamir White, you never know. Maybe Jacobs doesn't play this year. That's huge for White. Patterson's a guy. I don't really know how much I like Patterson, but I like him on a site where it's full point PPR. I think this is the place to get him. Maybe he gets traded, has more upside somewhere else. Kelly, and I don't have any of this. Rico, I don't even know who this guy is, to be honest with you. So I don't know that I would have.
He was named as the RB2 on the depth chart to the Cowboys. It's unknown if it's going to be Rico Dowdle, Malik Davis, Deuce Vaughn,
or Zeke.
Yeah.
Give me Zeke.
But when you wait that long on running back, you almost have to go at least 7. So I don't hate it at all. And then wide receiver is obviously solid since you just loaded up on. We got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. He was really hoping Hurts would fall in that 3rd round, I'm sure, but you don't really need him to. That offense is great. So just as many pieces as you can. Maybe they don't both start every week, but you're probably good with one of them in your lineup almost every single week. We got Mike Williams, one of my higher owned wide receivers. Zay Flowers, I think my favorite wide receiver for the Ravens this year. You got your stacks with the Giants. Justin Ross, a lot of good camp talk about him lately. I've been getting him a little bit if he falls to me lately, but I don't have a whole lot of Justin Ross exposure. What do you guys think about him? You guys buying the hype?
I mix him in.
Much, but
I would have considered making the Ross pick another running back too.
Gray for sure. I would have went another running back. There's no doubt about that.
I feel really good about just having those two tight ends, so I wouldn't have got Gray in this one. I think the only way I would ever get Gray is if I have a Mahomes lineup. If Mahomes falls at some point and I don't have Kelsey in there, I'll get Gray in the last round. But with those two tight ends, I don't think I would have thrown any third tight end. Go ahead and throw in an eighth running back, I think would be
what Liam said. I definitely would have made that because 181st pick instead of the 220. Like I definitely would have went two tight ends, but that Ross pick I would have went running back because you would get a better one than a Patterson, Kelly. So I might have left with 9 running backs in that one because take away that third tight end, take away Ross, you're still good to go there. But no, it's a solid team and it's different. It's running back though, like. It's hard for me to stomach leaving a running back like that. But
shit, I'd trade my team for this one, to be honest.
last team, Liam, touch on it was with Cup right there, Miles in the 5 spots. 4 tight ends. I'm really curious to see what you say about this.
So Herbert and Tua totally fine at quarterback. Akers, Swift, Dobbins, Pirine, McKinnon, Hubbard, and Pierre Strong. Definitely some question marks on these guys, but if they cobble together and are playing, totally could be strong enough. Cup, Waddle, Keenan, London, Shaheed, Devontae Parker, Corey Davis. Seems like you got a big group of 4 at wideout. Jalen Waddle did get hurt today in practice. Don't know how serious that is. You got 3 week 11 buys, 2 week 10s. Not a big deal. Week 10 is going to be tough though when you're rocking with Keenan and gang. And then Dulcich, Komet, Conklin, and Henry. I do some 4 tight end teams myself. I don't know if this is. I probably I like the Henry pick past ADP. Maybe I make the Conklin pick another wideout or running back. Like Swift is hard because it's like either a league winner or a.
Or your team's dead though.
Yeah.
So which is totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to just build like you're right, I guess, and just ride with the Swift. K-Makers 2, league winning potential or sent to the bench. But overall, I think the team's good, pretty good. I would maybe it's hard to say if you want the extra dart at wide receiver. Maybe wide receivers where I have the extra dart instead of tight end. But I do think 4 late tight ends is viable sometimes.
Yeah, I would want him later than Dulcich as my first. If I'm going 4, I would say. So I would have got rid of Conklin or Henry and gone.
Like the guy in the 3 hole went 4 late with his first one in round 15.
So that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. So he has 4 right there. I was gonna say if I have no 4 tight end builds right now. But if I did, it's probably when I'm taking the first one at 160 to 170 range and then just going off that way. So it's definitely interesting, though.
I like the tight ends straight up project better than a lot of these wideouts. But the thing is, with you having to start 3 wide receivers, that just puts a lot of pressure on you, and you can only start 2 tight ends.
Yeah. But, I mean, Miles, what was that? Draft 147. It's only a couple left. I like it though, and it is different. So, man, awesome draft. Appreciate you coming on, Liam. If you want to say any final words, let the people know. Got the @ right there if they want to find you on Twitter, to find your YouTube. But we appreciate you coming on, taking time, and doing a draft with us.
Yeah, just have a great day, everyone, and good luck drafting.
Love that. Big Marley, any words?
No, man, that was fun. Thanks for coming on the show, Liam. We appreciate it. It was good drafting with you. Good drafting with 2 champions. Hopefully I can become a champion myself one day. But good luck to you, Liam. Good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening.
Hey, the team you hate most, this one, you're shipping this one. Big Marley, first place right there. But appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. Hit that like, hit that subscribe on the way out. Check out Liam on Twitter and his YouTube. For Liam, Big Marley, I'm Title Town. Good luck, everybody.